I call to order this meeting of the Navasota Planning and Zoning Commission for February 23rd, 2023. If y'all would please rise for the invitation and the pledge.
I guess any no gracious and heavenly Father, as we come with thanksgiving in our heart. Father, we thank you for life, we thank you for health, and we thank you for strength. Father, we ask that you bless this city, we ask that you bless this county, and we ask that you bless this nation. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
In regards to item number 3, Lupe, everybody here is here to speak on agenda item number 4. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, because it is an agenda item, you all will have an opportunity to share your concerns after the item is presented. So with that said, we will move to agenda item number 4, consideration and possible action on a preliminary site plan and fee in lieu sidewalk installation application from Meridia Barkat and Rahim Momin for the development of Flyaway C-Store, a retail fuel sales use for the property located at 2643 Highway 105 West, Navasota, Grimes County, Texas 77868. The uses are listed as a permitted use within Article XI B1 General Business Zoning District. The property affected is legally described as Flyaway Field Block 1, Lot 1-R2, acres 2.768, replat 326551.
Could you speak up? Could you speak up?
Yes, sir.
Please? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Planning and Zoning Commission, good evening. So I'll briefly summarize the application. As you already read, the property owner is applying for a preliminary site plan application to develop a convenience store / fuel store with some truck stop components as well. City staff has worked with J4 Engineering, which they are present tonight to answer any engineering questions about the project. It did go through the preliminary site plan review process. Obviously tonight is the next step in that process to either move forward or to be denied based on feedback. As part of the site plan review also included a fee in lieu of request. So our B1 standards requires that any commercial projects have sidewalks installed along any right-of-way, which would include Fairway and 105. The developer is requesting a fee in lieu of installing those sidewalks, totaling $28,080 basically for those sidewalks. So it's a 2-part request. Number 1 is the preliminary site plan, depending on feedback and other comments raised tonight, and then that fee in lieu of. And I believe Jason, he's going to go over a few topics that are important for this item.
Chairman and Commission, and also our guest tonight. I kind of want to give you an update on several things related to this project. This project runs right next to Fairway Drive. I know there's been a lot of comments in the public about our streets, and we understand that streets is a huge concern. Our city council is aware of that. City issued around $10 million worth of debt to address some of our streets as well as our utility issues. Fairway Drive is on that plan to be renovated. That process is probably going to be toward the tail end of the total capital improvement plan, due to construction still going on. There is not going to be a concrete road put in. It's going to be an asphalt road. Still going to be it's not going to be curb and gutter. It's still going to have the ditches on the side there. Public Works still tries to go out there and patch the holes as we see fit, and try and, I know the apron part turning right onto Fairway was some of that asphalt came off, and so Public Works went out there to try to repair that. But I want to make sure the commission understands there's no intention for the city to come in and put a concrete road on Fairway. That is going to come back in, we're gonna redo it, we will redo it, it'll be an asphalt road, so it'll be a lot better than what it is now, but that road's gonna be asphalt. In addition to that, we've been working with TxDOT and Mr. Hassel on the developments for a left turn lane. So TxDOT's in the process of finalizing that, and we're hoping by the summer that left turn lanes will start going in on 105. The expectation is right there at August Horse all the way, I think Lupe past, or all the way to the end of where the last turn in is for Pecan Lakes. But again, they're not put in, but they will be put in. But just because it's a left turn lane, it's still going to be a 2-lane road. So there's no plans for TxDOT to expand 105 other than add the turn lanes. In addition, we want to make sure, I know that Lupe sent out an email to you as a commission highlighting and informing you about our comp plan. So I've only been here a year. When I got here, I saw what the trajectory of the city is. We're growing. The comp plan was done back in 2013, 14 is when it started, finished in 2015. It's supposed to be a 10-year plan. I can tell you that plan is a living document. It means it changes because the landscape based on what was in the comp plan is not what you have out by the airport now. So that's not what was predicted to go out by the airport, was that huge residential subdivision. And so as we start making decisions collectively, we have to remember that type of thing. The city is in the process of working through a grant process to obtain some grant funding. There's two resources for it to get some funding, around $300,000, to be able to update our comp plan. Even though it lasts till 2025, we believe that we need to change and update that comp plan. And so once we get that funding, we'll move forward with hiring engineers and move forward with doing the entire process over again, which will mean public meetings. It'll involve P&Z, it'll involve council, and a lot of public input about what we want Navasota to be from now for another 10 years. Also want to make sure you understand, so we put in the writing in here, C-Store, and there's been comments about, is it a truck stop, is it not a truck stop? So I will tell you from previous experience, what we always define from a city management standpoint as a truck stop is when it has components of a truck stop. One is going to be, does it have overnight truck parking? Based on the map here, there is several slots down there that are 8 feet long. So yes, it has truck parking. The other piece is, does it have high capacity pumps? So if you'll notice over to the side there, there's 4 stations there. Those are considered high capacity pumps, which is a little bit different than the other that's out front there, which may serve diesel. So if you go to any gas station, you'll pull up to the end that has diesel. That's for any diesel cars. You have a pickup truck that has diesel, U-Haul, but it's not intended for 18-wheelers. Those 4 there that Lupe was pointing to, those are specifically for 18-wheelers. So now you've got 2 components of that. Nowhere did we notice within that Lupe looked, does it have any showers, overnight shower type? We didn't see that within the design, so it doesn't have that. But it also, in order to have the high capacity pumps, the other piece is, does it have what they call tall canopies? And tall canopies are canopies that are higher than the normal over your pumps that allow your 18-wheelers to come in. So when they talk about, is it a truck stop, is it not a truck stop, I look at it as, if it's a duck and it quacks and wobbles, it's probably a duck. So in all essence, this is a C-Store, but it has a truck stop component. And so I want to make sure that you understand that and the public understands that's where staff is coming from. I want to make sure you have the facts, and then as the residents come up and voice their opinions, that you understand that right off the bat, okay? Any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
When you say they're going to put a left turn lane in, you mean they're going to put a center turn lane and they are going to utilize the
shoulders in order to generate that and not widen the road. So we will
That is
we will lose the shoulders for the distance of that turn lane.
That's what we've been told, but again, until that we see the design of it, we don't know. We haven't seen the design. TxDOT's not provided us enough. They're in the design works now. And until we see the design work, I can't answer that. But that's the way that we've interpreted it over the last year working with TxDOT. But again, there's not going to be a left turn into this facility. It's going to be a left turn into Fairway. Left turn into Fairway, left turn in, I know for Pecan Drive, I don't even, was there a left
Yeah,
turn?
there's like two other entrances between Pecan Lakes Drive, the newly opened street, and Fairway Drive. There's a few others in there. Whether it'll be hashed or it'll just be a center turning lane for all properties, that's to be discussed once we get the final design. But it will go past Fairway.
Right. But I will tell you that there was no way TxDOT would do a left turn for Fairway and a left turn for this business. It's too close.
Understood.
So when you say that the left turn, is that coming from Brenham and from Navasota both?
So Brenham would be a right turn, and I don't know, I don't think there's enough. They might be able to, I don't know how they would do it right here for this first turn in, for a right turn in. When you're going toward Brenham is the left turn. Left turn in, so it's all left turns, because if you're going right, you wouldn't need a right turn. You would.
So the turn lane would be past the store?
So the turn lane would be before. Right, the property that's right, the city owns right in front.
Yes.
Okay, so it's gonna. That's where the turn lane will be.
It'll look very similar to what's on East Washington here. You can turn the right or left to go to any of those streets. It'll be very similar. I'm sure it'll be a solid stripe with some hash somewhere in the end.
And TxDOT's in the process of doing a traffic impact study all the way from the river all the way to Anderson. So we had a request from a resident to look at specifically Washington Avenue from downtown to Highway 6 and look at that, because there's some speed limits in there that they determined, hey, I think this is really, really high. And so we met with TxDOT. TxDOT's like, hey, if we're going to do that, we need to expand it. We've heard there's a lot of wrecks that has occurred at Fairway and Highway 5. So they heard about that. They're like, hey, how about us expanding it there? We're like, that's great. And so now that they hear about the expansion of the city and growing out Highway 90 and getting toward Cowtalk and going toward Anderson, their thought is, let's just go all the way from the river all the way to Anderson and do the study. So that's a big task. And so they have not started that, but again, they will look at it. We've asked about a light here, and there's not a light going to go in there in the near future. We're not even considered right now. There's nothing that determines that we need a light there yet, even though we've had quite a bit of wrecks there. But their thinking is the left turn should help.
I guess what James was talking about, a right turn, were you thinking more like a deceleration?
Deceleration?
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't think we've talked about deceleration for this development at all, nor has it been talked about at all with TxDOT as putting in with the left turns. I don't think there was anything.
To my knowledge, the engineering company got their driveway approved up 105 without a decel lane, with the knowledge of there being a left turn lane and right turn lane in the future. So because TxDOT knows that there will be 3 lanes now, one for turning, maybe they felt a right-hand decel lane wasn't needed for this project. So the driveway you see, to my knowledge, unless Glenn with J4 has other information, but to my knowledge, it was approved as is on 105 without a decel lane. And I think it helps that a turning lane is coming, but they did not require one.
But we don't know when it's coming, right?
The turning lane, it should start this summer, right?
Yeah, it will. Again, we're at the hands of TxDOT, and so TxDOT, they're fast tracking as quickly as they can. They're saying summer. We have a meeting with them next week to try to get an update, but that's as soon as we know.
Yeah, I drove out that way this past Sunday, and I'm just creeping, looking and everything, and I'm turning and car drifting pretty fast coming from Washington County, and if you don't mash on the gas, you're gonna get run over out there. It's a little deal.
Yeah, it's a dangerous piece there.
Yes, it is.
Any other questions for me?
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
So, I know everybody out there has something that they want to say about this. If everybody wants to say the same thing, then maybe we can limit the number of speakers. I know there were people that signed up. You don't have to sign up to speak on an agenda item. So, let's do this. Who signed up first?
I did receive Mr. Hassel's form before 4 o'clock today, so.
Okay. Mr. Hassel.
4 or 5.
When you do come to the podium to speak, please state your name and address for the record.
Jim Hassel, 2025 Eagle View Drive, Navasota, Texas, 77868.
Go ahead.
Okay.
You have the floor, sir.
Number one, I want to say, if that's not a truck stop, I've never seen one. They got 18 spaces back there to park a truck. So if it's not a truck stop, why are they putting all those spaces for parking trucks? That's number one. Number two, we contributed $150,000 to the state. The city contributed nothing to get that left turn lane in. Also, the traffic was on Fairway Drive was getting too heavy for the development out there, and the golfers on Fairway Drive. And I put the other entrance down at Pecan Lakes Drive, which just opened. And if you'll look, he's got 2 entrances on Fairway Drive and just a little bitty entrance on 105. All the trucks is coming on Fairway, and that's right now, it's a dangerous intersection.
Yes,
There's so much traffic coming down Fairway Drive between the golfers and the people that live there. And that's why I put in another road and paid for the left turn lane. And if you remember, you might not remember back when all this come about by Fairway Drive, I put that in and redone it, a part of it, because it was not done right. They started doing where the first section is now that's real bad. I redid the second section of it. And if you remember right back at the time when I built the golf course and they ended up owning it, I did do Fairway Drive at a cost of, if I remember right, about $165,000. That was 2002 or 3.
2002.
Yes. But that drawing there tells me that all the trucks is going to be coming in on Fairway Drive. And it's going to be extremely dangerous for cars and everything, because those trucks will block that turning. And the traffic up down Fairway Drive is not going to have a chance. And I'm dead set against a truck stop coming to that corner. Now, if it was just a little store, if it was a feed store and had a little where you could get gas and sell little groceries, that would be fine. But I just think it's too dangerous to get for out there with the community we have out there, kids riding their bicycles up down there. It's just too dangerous. So, any questions?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hassel.
Thank you so much.
Lupe, I have a question. Would it be unorthodox to take a hand vote of the audience of those opposed to it and those in favor of it?
That is a great question. I wish
Jason?
our city attorney was here, but I don't know that there's anything against that. But yeah, I got to tally everyone. I mean,
As much as I would hate to say it, I know that you don't want to have a long night here. I think you need to hear.
No, I want to hear
from-
what yes.
I think that'll give you what what you need.
Okay.
Because what ended up happening is, the more people say the same thing, they won't say, they'll come up and say, hey, I support this or that.
Okay.
So I think doing that, and just, that way you give everybody a time to speak.
Okay.
And there's other people that might be for it.
Yes,
You know, I
exactly.
mean, and the developer might be, I don't know.
Yeah, before we go further, can we have the representative of the store speak?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it here?
Yeah, Mr. Glenn Jones is here
Yes.
with J4 Engineering, if y'all have any questions that pertain to the project.
Come in, please.
I think it's best coming right.
Yeah, Mr. Jones is coming.
Good evening, Glenn Jones, J4 Engineering. I'm the civil site engineer and owner's agent tonight for this application. I do not have a formal presentation. I'm just here to answer any questions you might have. I would like to take a moment just to explain a little bit more of what was talked about with TxDOT. I have shown what TxDOT has proposed currently in the drawing there, which is a 10, 15-foot expansion on each side. They're not using just the shoulders. They are widening through there. And I have shown their current layout for the striped turn lane, which the taper of that turn lane is beginning about the edge of the driveway there on 105. The developer has an oversized participation agreement with TxDOT. They paid $75,000 to extend that turn lane, make it longer so that it could be used for that driveway as well. So that's one of the delays where they're redoing the design to pull that turn lane back. The taper will actually start just past the intersection of Fairway, so the traffic can use that turn lane to come into the store as well. I mentioned the driveway widths. TxDOT has a 40-foot maximum driveway width. They will not give anybody a wider driveway. So hence we were forced to put a smaller driveway on 105. Just FYI. Yes, sir.
So, in your own words, is this going to be a truck stop or a convenience store?
Truck stop in this industry is referred to something like Love's in Hearn. It's a 10-acre site. They have repair mechanics on site. They have the showers. They have the overnight parking. While this has parking, it's not intended to be overnight. We don't have the showers that support the overnight. It's simply a place for the trucks to park and take a break. And we have the high flow pumps, which is a function of a truck stop. We have the high canopies, is a truck stop, yes. But this is the product of today. The 10-acre truck stops, the Buc-ee's, and that is a specific product that most stores are not doing anymore. They need some component of diesel to make their market analysis work. And that's all we're doing here is in this case, it's 4 pumps, but those pumps are designed so that you can feed both sides of the truck, so it's really 2 pumps. But you're filling one truck on both sides.
In your, you said that on Fairway Lane is where you're going to be entering and exiting for the 18-wheeler trucks.
No, it could be all 3 driveways.
Okay.
It's not limited to just
Okay, but
one.
on the city street, when you exit on the city or come in on the city street, it's going to be asphalt.
That's what it currently is.
Those big trucks will tap the street.
There's going to be somewhere in Terrell on all streets.
It's not concrete.
I'm sorry, sir?
I said, have you thought about putting concrete in out there if you want to use the city street?
No, sir. That's not typical for development. It's just not typical.
Okay.
So we didn't consider it.
I'm finished.
I'm switching tracks.
Sure.
I want to understand a little bit about the water management and the runoff numbers.
Okay.
So, what's the dimension of the pond? I can get the cubic volume that it says it's going to hold, but from an acreage size? Can you tell me what its size is?
I don't have those numbers memorized, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Lupe has a copy of my drainage report, I'm sure he could email it to you.
Yeah, I looked at all 85 or 130 pages, because a lot of it was one graph per page.
Sure.
So there's a couple of things that kind of jumped out at me, and I don't quite understand. I'm not an engineer, I'm a virologist by training. I'm slowly learning this, but I'm going to wind up auditing a course before this is over.
All right.
So your calculation that a 100-year flood requires 7,954 cubic feet is based off of the numbers that we get from this much rain at this much time every 100 years, right?
Correct.
We just recently had a developer come for the property adjacent to yours,
Okay.
which is it's 3 acres and you're at 2.7.
Okay.
Their property is not 100% hardscaped. Yours pretty much is.
Yes, sir.
They came in with their analysis and interpreted that they needed a pond that would hold 66,000 cubic feet.
Okay.
Your data comes in and says you need an 8,000 and you build a 9,000. And I'm not sure how we can have a pond that's 5 times larger, 6 times larger in one location than the other. So I'm really kind of mixed on, I understand that there are different analysis methods, but I don't understand a greater than 5-fold difference in the volumes required. I don't think there's a tremendous amount of difference between those properties as far as slope and what exists on one side to the other.
As you mentioned, there are 2 major analysis methods, the rational method and the SCS method, just to get technical. They are drastically different, mainly in that the rational method looks at the highest intensity part of the storm, so it's a shorter duration. In this instance, it's probably a 20-minute storm
Yes,
period.
it's a 20-minute period, yes.
As the SCS looks at a 24-hour rain event, much longer. So you end up with higher flows, you end up with more water, you end up with larger weirs, you end up with larger detention ponds. I used the rational method, that was my understanding what the city required. If we need to use the SCS, that would drastically change the design of the pond, yes.
Okay, let me see if there's anything. I think that was mostly it. I really don't understand the differences in the ponds. I know that, there are the cities that has a requirement, and then I've said this to the other engineers, and I learn something every time. We don't get rain the way NOAA says we get rain. A 50-year flood is 24 inches of rain in 24 hours. But when we get 4 inches of rain in an hour and a half, that's not something that anybody has the ability to design a pond for. So I think oversizing these ponds is inherently important for the flat part of the city. And I really hesitate that pond size with 100% hardscape is adequate for a flash flood like we get. I understand that it works in the rational method over, the 20-minute downpour that you get over that time. But we're dealing with inches of rain in an hour.
You are using calculations that are an average, not one particular.
Exactly.
So you're using historical data over an average period of time, and like you said, you're not designing these things for the 50-inch, rainfall in 24 hours kind of deal. Those are just outliers. They're not the normal rainfall that you design for.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
As the owner's agent, you can see there's a whole lot of people here who are going to be giving wonderful information, and their thoughts on this. And again, as the owner's agent, after you hear these comments from the public, are the owners amenable, open to another right answer, like a third right answer, that may be a revision of what you've already planned, or are they pretty fixed?
I would say that they are flexible and they will consider anything.
Okay.
I have it. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, that's fine, yeah.
You know, we're talking about, you know, screening and stuff like that. One thing about the 18 parking spots that are on the south end of the project. Would this be a fence, or, I mean, here we have, you know, some screening with plants on the west side, but, on the.
There was a residential house next door that required, was the reason the screening was there. To my knowledge, the rear of the property didn't require the screening, that's why it's not shown on the site plan.
Okay.
Fencing is typical. We didn't show it, I think it was planned or thought of at the moment, frankly. So I know the folks behind this truck stop is the key word here tonight. We're not saying no to trucks. We're just not doing that overnight component. So calling it a truck stop, calling it a convenience store, really semantics. There will be trucks here. There will be trailers. There'll be concrete trucks. There'll be dump trucks. There'll be all versions of large format diesel trucks. Which driveway they come in and out? It's their choice. Obviously, the longer trucks need bigger turning radiuses, hence the driveway in the back. And it's also better to not mix, where possible, the residential traffic with a truck traffic. They're two different products. They're two different style drivers. But this is the convenience store of today. This is the current model. Pure truck stops, pure convenience stores. It's going to be a mix from here on.
Well, sir, I wish that the owners was here so they can listen and see what the citizen here would have to say.
I thought they were going to be here too, so I guess I'm the sacrificial lamb tonight.
You know, that part of the city, the west end of town out there, is probably the most fastest growing part of Navasota here.
Honestly, the expansion of the neighborhood, yeah.
Yeah, and got a real nice golf course out there and everything, and to have a truck stop, yeah, I think out there would take away from that community.
Yes.
I have talked to several people, and they're not fighting the convenience store, but just those big trucks parked in the back and everything. And,
Well, sure. I had a little conversation with Lippy before just to give you a little insight. There are market analysis done for any convenience store of any type. And that market analysis takes into account traffic counts, rooftops, and in turn provides a product that says you have to build this to make a profit. To be successful, you have to have this many square feet of store, you have to have these many pumps, diesel, gas, whatever the combination may be. You don't start a store without that analysis. So this whole layout, the size of the store, the number of pumps, was based on that market analysis. So there is a demand here for this product. I can understand what you're saying about, the potential to the neighborhood. This is a $4 million commercial project. It's not taken lightly by the developer either. But economics say this is where the store needs to be, and this is what needs to be in order to be a successful convenience store.
but, at the, I do understand what you're saying, but at the same time, these citizens of Navasota have made their livelihood homes out there, and if the room wasn't filled with people, we could kind of decide what's best out there. But when they show up in front of us and got something different to say, we got to take that under consideration.
Perfectly understand.
I know you say you did all kind of tests and this and that, but at first you should have been thought about, do the community want this out there in this beautiful neighborhood? Because, that's real nice out there. 700 plus homes gonna be out there one day.
And I would like to say, as a resident of Pecan Lakes, I'm not real thrilled about 18-wheelers turning out on Fairway Drive. Because that intersection of Fairway Drive and Highway 105 is already dangerous. Left turn lane is not gonna help the people that drive Fairway Drive every day like I do, like Jason does, like Loopy does. And there are other people in this room that are city employees, and everybody sitting back there. I don't think we need 18-wheelers on Fairway Drive.
And I have another question. Who are your customers? Who are you trying to attract? Is it the people who live in the neighborhood, or is it the people passing through Navasota?
All of the above.
Okay. I don't know if these people are going to shop there.
Loopy, I have a question. It's totally unrelated to this, but there is another convenience store being built in town. On LaSalle. And, business model being business models, I don't think that's got high flow pumps or anything like that. And then it's not the same size either. I forget, it's almost 2 acres there.
Yeah, correct. That one is about 2.5 acre site. It does not have truck pumps. I think probably the additional source of income on that story is going to have a washateria on the end. Yes, sir.
So maybe they ought to look at a different source of income instead of diesel pumps. The Shell station on up the road, they're busy day and night, 24 hours a day, and they don't have big truck pumps, but they offer food and lots of other amenities. So,
Most of your in-cap pumps on those stations are the high flow diesel. So they just don't have a separate canopy, and they don't have four of them like this one does in one canopy. You could have 2 to 4 on the end cap.
105 Highway 6 ends.
yeah, we have 2 truck stops there.
Great place to put on
Okay. Anybody have any questions for the engineer?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is it going to be a 24-hour convenience store?
I am unsure on that question. I'm sorry. I don't have that answer.
I do. Where's your office located?
Brian?
Question, sir. I'm a truck driver. That's a truck stop. I've been in the year business for 50 years. From a small spot like that with no showers, it's still a truck stop. And the dangerous part is when I pull out, I don't get up to 60 mile an hour like these cars do. It's a good place that's looking for have an accident out there on that area. I live in that area. I'm going to speak about this. I want to let you know that right now. Hogwash on that thing.
All right.
Male prostitutes, whores, drugs, all right there.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Sir, just one other quick deal here before you leave. I'm sorry you have to take out a bad heat tonight, but I think the owner needs to be taking the heat instead of the building. And that was always growing, and we want the convenience store, but just maybe not a truck stop in that location.
I hear you.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Ma'am, you've been standing patiently.
Mona Summers, 7414 St. Andrews Drive, Pecan Lakes Estates. We know you're all volunteers. Thank you for your time. Thank you, staff. So you answered the question related to truck stop. I was going to kind of dance around that, not knowing for sure, but now we know. First, I received a message from a neighbor, Rosemary Railstack. She was unable to be here due to caring for her children, and she asked me to convey her concern for their children and the other children in our neighborhood. She said they're fine with a gas station, corner store, but not a truck stop. Quote, we moved here to get away from stuff like that. We love Navasota. We love the small town community. We love the staff. We love the events. I think all of our neighbors are very engaged in making Navasota the best it can be. We know the only way to resolve issues is to be part of the solution. So we want to help you help us, number one. So the more knowledge we have, the better off we'll all be. We want to be part of the solution. So when Pecan Lakes Estates was first established, and as it continues to grow, it sounds like maybe the comprehensive plan has not been updated since that time. And so that's an issue. In that, it sounds like we're part of the Airport Growth Center or the West Gateway Corridor, and that seems to be the guiding development for what's coming forward. And that's a concern to us because I'm not sure that our identity as a residential neighborhood is present. And that affects everything, right? The Airport Growth Center on page 29 of the comp plan says it's a key commercial and industrial development opportunity. Page 103 suggests, quote, limited opportunities for housing beyond a small number of multifamily units. Obviously, that's not the West Gateway Corridor, which is what was the initial concern for me, because when it said fee in lieu of, it referred to the West Gateway Corridor as the relationship to the comp plan. Well, that definition is mixed-use corridor, commercial development, high-density residential apartments, office space, light industrial, within the same or adjacent sites. We were just here less than a month ago trying to make sure we weren't going to get apartments next door. And so when I saw that relationship, it went, oh, help us, please help us. So, understanding that the comp plan is not up to date, knowing that it is going to be worked on, how do we operate in that gap? How do we help you make sure that our identity as a subdivision is present? Because as I understand it, the zoning laws are attached to the comp plan or the zoning ordinance. So how do we help you to get our identity recognized so that for future development, we're not in the same position? How can we help you do that? Comp plan amendments can be done. Is it going to be done? Can we help you get it done? We have a whole working group of folks who will help get it done. We're the stakeholders. We want to be engaged. But how do we fill that gap? Because we're not going to wait till 2025, I don't think, to move on that, are we?
Jason already addressed that they're working to get grants to start working on the comp plan.
Okay. So in the meantime, though, how do we make sure that we're not part of the Airport Growth Center or the West Side Corridor when that is the guiding principle right now?
So you're not understanding the term, the city was divided into different corridors.
Correct.
Each corridor is named.
Correct.
We are technically in between those two corridors, the West Growth Corridor and the Airport Corridor.
Correct.
But we as a planning and zoning commission are looking at every project that comes before us to address is it what's best for that situation.
Okay.
Just like the rental units, you can
Right.
store at place.
Right.
So
we understand then, you recognize us as a subdivision even though the comp plan doesn't formally recognize
ma'am, I
us.
live in the subdivision, and Jason lives there. I trust
Yes.
we recognize.
We love y'all being there too. So we just want to help you. I mean, if we have to continue to show up for meetings when
Please do.
businesses come down the line, we will do that. But in other, we want to be proactive as well. So whatever we can do to help that, we want to continue to be that thriving community. Walkability to the August Horse Park would be wonderful.
Thank you.
How can we do that? We want to help you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Folks, please try to limit your comments to 3 minutes. Otherwise, we'll be here till tomorrow morning. Sir, he's,
Yes, sir, my name is Charles Moody. I live at 2007 Eagle View Drive here in Navasota there in Con Lakes. Sorry, 77868. There's a lot of talk about it being a truck stop. And while I'm not an engineer, and I appreciate what you said back there, I started back in the oil field back in the early 90s and had been driving heavy equipment for a long, long time, till just a few years ago. So I know for a fact that that'll be used for overnight parking because we've done that. I've done that, he's done that. That's what we do, is look for areas that are big enough to park a truck. And Fairway Drive is not big enough to drive those trucks. I say that with 25 years of experience running heavy equipment, that narrow road does not have a large enough, even with the middle turn lane. I'm turning from the right lane when I came and moved into that property with just a regular trailer, not a 53 or certainly not anything oversized. As my wife and I being new to the community, only here a few years, I think we ought to load zone that road so that heavy equipment can't be on it at all, so that we don't have any more problems with the transportation to and from. It's going to be dangerous because there's not going to be enough slowdown to make that turn and then get into the opposing lane where all of us are trying to get out of our neighborhood, and that truck's trying to make it in there because he's running low on diesel. Or he's out of hours. He's got to stop before he gets pulled over. There's just so many different things that are safety issues. And I'm not down to business. I know everybody's got to make a living, but it's just not a good spot for a truck stop. I don't know why they put a truck stop that far off of the major intersections and highways anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a big concern. I don't have small children that I'm concerned about, but there's gonna be violence, there's gonna be overnight parking, there's gonna be dangerous accidents that happen, especially trying to turn out because they're trying to beat the traffic coming from the Brenham area. Because those trucks, like he said, we got to showering down on it, but it's only going to go so fast. It's only going to build up as fast as it can, and the traffic is already zooming through there, and I'm in a 1500 pickup. You know, I just think we should really, really consider what somebody else had said a while ago. They need an alternative source of income. Diesel, most of it's going to taxes anyway. They're not paying a lot of money off of that to begin with. I think they need to come up with something different. That's just my personal opinion as a citizen.
thank you,
So I
sir.
hope I didn't eat up too much time.
Nope, you're good.
Hey Randy, just a second, real quick.
Yes,
So real quick, I really appreciate everybody that's here. I really appreciate everybody showing up. So I'm going to ask something that there's a decorum that we need to have in the council chambers. So please refrain from the applauses. Don't carry on two conversations at once. You want to have a conversation with your neighbor or something, please go outside into the back there. We record this, and so we can't really hear it. But just please understand. I understand you're excited and you're frustrated and everything, but please keep the decorum and no claps, no applause, no outbursts. If you want to speak, get your time up here, be recognized by the chairman. He'll recognize you, and you have 3 minutes. So just please remember that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, you beat me to the punch.
Sorry about the outburst there earlier, gentlemen.
Name and address,
Council. I have been in the trucking industry for 50 years.
sir. Name and address, please.
Max Hill, 8030 Frontline Lane, Navasota, 77868.
Thank you.
The idea, it is a truck stop for Volvin Bays. It's not a field stop, it's a truck stop. They're going to stop there and they're going to sleep all night. Trucks will come in there with reefers, the reefers will run all night. And then being in the trucking industry, I know how loud those reefers are. I live back in that subdivision, I will hear them reefers running at night. I will hear the trucks running at night. These are things that you've got to realize that's going to happen to that neighborhood. Also, in my industry, we've always dealt with drugs. Every truck stop. Always dealt with prostitution, male or female, at every truck stop. Even small ones like this one. That's in design. There's one down there in Houston, Texas, a Shell gas station. It's just the same amount of bays as that, and they're always in there busting prostitutes. We have children in this area. We don't want them messing. We don't need this. Gentlemen and ladies, we have fuel services enough for this community. I realize that this is going to break jobs. You know, that's good. But it's also going to cause a traffic hazard out there that your TxDOT, if you don't mind, needs to put a traffic light there with these heavy trucks. Or somebody's going to get killed. And that's something that, you know, do you want that weight on your shoulders that maybe because some truck's pulling out, somebody loses their life? That area out there, the roads are too narrow. And getting into that drive, you know, the trucks going that way are going to make a left turn and then a right turn into the truck stop. Coming this way, they're going to make right turn into the truck stop. You know, I'm sorry, I can't call it a convenience store. It is what it is. There's truck parking. It's a truck stop. And, you know, these are just the things that you all need to take in consideration. I've listened to your comments, especially yours, and yours. You know, they're good comments. And I realize that my time is about up. I'm trying to keep it under the 3 minutes. But, you know, this year, and I've got 0 accidents for all those years over the road. 4.5 million miles accident-free driving. And, you know, that's the reason why I'm saying, you know, out there you're looking at that. You know, something happening. Please don't miss something. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm John Gerhardt. I'm at 7902 Putter Place Court, Navasota 77868. I'll try not to readdress what other people address, but has anyone talked to the people at the airport to see if the lighting will affect plane landing at night? And not only the lighting for them, but the lighting for the neighborhood and the houses beside them being lit up all the time. Then you'll have trucks sitting out there idling at night, running, because you know how humid and hot it is here. So we'd have diesels running all night long to run their ACs, and you'd have all the fumes off of the trucks. So these are other things that we need to consider to affect our neighborhood and our area. I'll stop it there. Thank you much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I'm Nancy Perry, a broker for Navasota Realty. I live at 1420 East Washington Avenue, Navasota 77868. And I have a vested interest in all of this community. I think Navasota is one of the most lovely, charming, beautiful little communities in Texas. We have a lot to be proud of. Pecan Lakes Estates, the golf course, the airport, and all of the growth and the development that's happening on the west side of town is something we all should be very proud of. I think that we can take what might be considered a negative and turn it into a positive by maybe looking at it in a little different light and encouraging a different type of parking. The truck route comes in on Spoke 515. There's a big truck stop there, perfectly adequate to support, I think, the local truck traffic as it is today. The truck route goes around FM 3090. I believe that there's a proposed truck stop at the corner of 3090 and Highway 6. That's logical. Big truckers who are pulling the 18-wheeler, they probably don't want to try to get in and out of a small space like this is. I think the truck stop that is on the corner of 105 and 6, they catch a little bit of truck traffic. I see trucks in and out of there every now and then, a little bit different scenario. Fairway Drive is a city street. It's not a truck street. The gentleman that said it should be weight limit most likely is perfectly right. I don't think that the city police department allows trucks to go in and out of city streets. I think it's very logical. If a trucker's able to come in and off of 105 and fuel up, do a U-turn, go back out, enter back out on 105 and keep on his way, I don't think it's going to hurt a thing. I do believe the 18 spots in the back could be utilized by tourists. We have a beautiful little town where we need that tourist income. All of the growth and development that's happened recently downtown, if we had a place to encourage the, for want of a word, I guess the snowbirds, the older people that are traveling around in their RVs, motorhomes, there's no place for people to pull in here with a big motorhome and park and be able to visit our community. So I think that would be a very positive way to not only allow these gentlemen to develop their business, but to help the overall community without hurting Pecan Lakes and the residents out there. So I would suggest we look seriously at maybe encouraging that kind of traffic.
Ms. Perry, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Karen Wilhite, 2015 Eagle View Drive, Navasota 77868. Just because they don't have showers doesn't mean we won't have stinky truckers. That's all. You can spend the night there. And there was an RV park there, and y'all got rid of it. It was there when I moved into 2018. I was going to put my son, who's mentally ill, in a trailer there so that he'd be right down the street from me and I could look after him every day when I came and went. It's gone. I don't want an RV park there that has, like you said, trucks idling all night, fumes in the air, the overflow from that parking lot flooding our neighborhood. This is not Houston, and this is why we live here. Thank you.
Good evening, Allison Chapman, 2017 Eagle View Drive, Navasota. I'm a teacher at John C. Webb Elementary. I moved to Navasota. I love Navasota. I love my neighborhood. I've been a truck driver for over 10 years previous to teaching in my college education, and I can promise you that if you put spaces in the back of that thing for an RV or for anything else, truck drivers will park there. They will bring with that prostitution. They will bring with that drugs. I watched it firsthand. My son-in-law, manages truck stops through Kentucky and Tennessee. And the major problem that they have is prostitution and drug trafficking, human trafficking, and hypodermic needles found all over the parking lot. That's what we're asking to bring into our neighborhood if we allow RV parking or any other kind of large parking in the back of this facility. That's why I'm against it. It'd be due to the crime and the type of people that are going to come in here. I'm not opposed to a convenience store that only cars can come in and get their gas and get a soda and go. But parking of any kind is going to allow truck drivers to come in as well, and all the things that go along with that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Bonnie Davis, 7711 Links Lane, Navasota 77868. I thank you for the privilege of being able to talk to you tonight and sharing with you our concerns. We moved in here 2.5 years ago, told that it was going to be it is a quiet, wonderful little subdivision. I mean, you hear children, you have old people, it's wonderful. Children, I love hearing them play. However, Navasota on the other side of town doesn't have such a report. Even in your paper this week, it said a ticking time bomb. We have to watch. We don't want to let crime come in. We want to prevent crime. To permit a truck stop you're just begging for a crime. Navasota is fabulous. let's just try to keep improving it here. Improving the streets. Let's not just make it an outside shell. Let's make it so we're living inside a warm, friendly place. And I really appreciate you all letting us talk here tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Chelsea Garcia, 7714 Links Lane, Navasota, Texas, 77868. I just wanted, I'm not going to speak on, all of the negatives that happen. I just want to speak on the future. If we are going to have something like a truck stop so close to the neighborhood, we've got future development happening, and I just want you to consider what others are going to think when these homes start coming up and they're having to pass by a truck stop. Is that going to hurt the development of this area of people wanting to come and live here? I grew up in College Station. We chose to move out to Navasota. We love living in this neighborhood, but there are lots of options in the area, and I just want to make sure that our neighborhood continues thriving, Navasota continues to thrive, and people aren't taken aback going to look at a house to buy, seeing this.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Here we go. Hi, I'm Hal Hewitt, 7718 Links Lane, Navasota, 77868. Howdy. Gotta do it. You wear the ring, you gotta say it. So, there we go. Fighting class of Texas Ag fighting class of 2018, by the way. I took 4 years off in between. Any which way. Everybody here, I see a lot of my neighbors in the audience tonight, and they're all really, really good neighbors. I want to talk about one thing first, and that is, I only found out about this like yesterday. And the rumor is in our neighborhood, some of us already are starting thinking about exodus. We can't have that. It boils down to, we really just can't have it. And I'm going to talk about just the physical practicality of it, of just driving down Fairway Boulevard. You got a 135-degree turn there. We already have enough problems with that road and tearing it up. And we saw it before. If you were in the early part of the development, you saw what the big trucks did to that road then. Jim was kind enough to repair it. We had it for a little while. But after no time, there's going to be a huge hole. There's going to be a huge ditch right there at the very beginning of the entranceway that's going to cause a major problem. And I just don't see where we're going to fill it constantly and keep it physically comparable to a road. Those are big trucks. They tear it up pretty badly. So I'm at that point. I just see this whole development up here. It's just the stopper in the bottom. It's stopping the bottom for all of us who drive out of there every morning, trying to get up there, trying to get our spot on the road. And it's just going to make it very, very, very hard for all of us. And I know that's going to have an impact on our way of life and pretty much where do we want to live next. We love it here. I hate to see this be the cause. I really would. Thank you very much.
Any further speakers?
Could I say one more thing?
After this gentleman here, Mr. Hassel.
My name is Ray Davis. I live at 7711 Links Lane. If you people vote to allow this truck stop to come in, you're responsible for all the nightlife that happens in those trucks when it happens. And I pray that you all make the right decision and you do not allow the truck stop there. Grocery store, gas station, we're all for it. Truck stop, no. Because all you're doing is inviting ladies of the night to take an opportunity with these truck drivers. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hassel, will you step to the
Sure.
podium?
Also, I'd like to say that people, when the truck turns in on Fairway Drive is just a narrow road, street that goes down to the golf course. It's always been, there's not enough room for that truck to stay in his lane and turn into those driveways. It's impossible. So he's gonna be swinging out, and those are open ditches there. It's not curb and gutter or anything. It's open ditches, and they're gonna be running, people are gonna be running into the ditch to miss those trucks. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Celeste Belnowski, 2431 3 Woodway, Navasota, 77868. I just have a question. What happens if y'all deny their application? Can they come back? Can
They,
they appeal?
yes, ma'am. So if the preliminary site plan is denied, the developer can make modifications, make changes, and as a property owner, I mean, they have a right to apply and resubmit again. However, I think if there is no significant changes, it would probably get the same outcome if it were denied.
Okay, because we just need to know what to watch for in the future if they come back. Thank you.
Is that it for public comment? So we can ask for the site plan to not contain the canopy and the diesel pumps and the parking spaces, correct?
Yes, sir. So there's a few options for planning and zoning. Option one is to approve. There's another option to approve with conditions, or you could deny it based on certain circumstances like traffic impact, effect on adjacent land area, comprehensive planning conflicts. Right? There's a number of things that you could deny it on, but you can approve it with conditions. Now, whether the landowner and the engineering firm they'll agree on those changes, ultimately that'll be on them. If you approve it with conditions, that doesn't mean that they can just go around that. They have to come back again with changes, even if you approve it with conditions. So you can verify that those conditions were met.
Excuse me, you can also deny and they could resubmit an application for a change, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
In a bigger retention pond?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I make a motion that we deny the preliminary site plan, which then leads us to deny the fee in lieu of sidewalk installation application for Meridia Barcat and Raheem Moman for the development of Flyway C-Store retail fuel sales use for the property located at 2643 Highway 105 West, Navasota, Grimes County, Texas 77868. Uses as listed are permitted within Article XIV-1. General business zoning district properly affected is legally described as Flyway Field Block 1, Lot 1-R2, acres 2.768. Replat 326551.
Commissioner Copeland, before Debbie seconds it, can you just add a few more wording in there as to why the denial is?
Yes, I'd be glad to. Number one, because it is not conducive to what's in the comprehensive plan regarding the airport subdivision. Number two, because of the Fairway Drive is not safe for the passage of large vehicles and residential vehicles or any other vehicles. Number three, because of the high development of the I forget what you call them, but the gas pumps where they have the elevated, elevated canopies for the trucks and the addition of those truck pumps there as well. And so I think it's just not an area conducive to that type of thing for our site plan. And the overnight park or potential of overnight parking with the additional parking places there. And again, I liked what was said about the lighting, and that is a big concern, as well for our airport and for the residential areas and the noise pollution that might result from the use of this for large trucks.
Good.
Did you get all that? It's recorded.
I'm short-handing it, so I probably will watch the recording.
Before you make your motion, Debbie, I would like to let the audience know that we have received several emails and letters in the last couple of days from our fellow residents expressing the same thing that you have already expressed. So we have a motion from Commissioner Copeland to deny on all those terms, and a second from Commissioner Hancock to deny on all those terms. Is there any further discussion?
Just would like to say before we vote is just to Navasota is growing. We do want growth, but in the right location.
Thank you, James. So, all in favor of denying the site plan signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries. And that brings us to agenda item number 5, consideration and possible action on the approval of the meeting minutes for January 26, 2023 as presented.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
We have a motion from Dr. Waller to approve the minutes.
Second.
It was a tie. We're the ladies first, James. Second from Commissioner Kikowski. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Seeing no opposition, motion carries. And
Now cheer.
After the gavel, yes, sir. And we will adjourn this meeting at 7:13 p.m.